Welcome to our session. It's called Navigating Tomorrow, the Future of Websites in the Age of AI and Content Proliferation. Sorry for the mouthful, but we're really excited to be here giving this talk. I'll apologize in advance if anyone's looking for like all the secrets to implement AI to like just make their life easier. We're not going to get that technical today, but hopefully we'll leave you with something to think about how AI can impact you in the future and what you should be thinking about as we go into this really next evolution of the internet and of websites. So let's get started. My name is John Doyle. I'm the CEO of a company called DrupalCon. We are a global company, and when I'm not at work, I enjoy doing things not at a computer, like hiking or sailing or rock climbing. Yeah, and you can find me here at my email or on LinkedIn.
I'm Gaurav Goyal, a technical architect and CTO at DrupalCon. I have 13 years of experience, and when I'm not doing coding or anything, I like to do some adventurous things. Last time I did, when I was doing the presentation for the first time, I did my bungee jumping at that point, and this time I was thinking I'll do some sort of that thing, but it didn't happen. You can contact me on email or that's my LinkedIn.
All right, let's dive in. So today we're going to talk about really three things. We're going to talk about the past, the present, and the future of the internet and of websites and how that is impacted. We'll talk about the evolution of website over the last 3 years. We'll talk about what's expected today in today's world. And I gave this talk at the beginning of the year, and I gave the talk at the end of the year. And so much has changed just this year in terms of AI and what impact that has had on the market, and we've incorporated some of that in there, but really excited to talk about it. And then really, what can you expect in the next 5 years? So let's dive in. The evolution of websites has really gone through a couple of different phases. We started in the 90s with the static web, right? We have these computers that are connected by a network, and we can now put information online and search for something, and I get a result back, and it was this fascinating experience that I didn't have to go to a library to find a web page or find information. That quickly evolved into the 2000s into the social web, and that was empowered by a number of innovations in technology that drove us to that. And then in the 2020s, we've really moved into the smart web, or what we're calling the smart web, where we've got a lot of social content, we've got a lot of automation and things that are generated and interactive content, way more so than we did in the 2000s. So we'll dive into each one of these a little bit more. If we go to the next one, this is what websites look like in the late 90s, early 2000s. This was Google, I think in 1998.
Search?
Yeah, yep. Google search, Yahoo search. Yep. Information was read-only. We were so excited to be able to get this stuff up, get it live. And they were starting to index these pages, and they were solving a problem of how do I get good content in front of people, because their whole business model is providing users with a good experience, right? So Google's business model isn't just search, it's experience. And if they can't provide you with the good content, if they can't provide you with what you're looking for, then they're going to lose all their customers, right? So it's a user experience ask, and we'll talk more about why search is so important in this as we move it forward. In the 2000s, say 2006, take 10 years, the number of websites went up by 320x. I think I did the math, I think that's right, 300 and some x. And the number of users using the internet increased by, I think that's, 20? Yeah, 20x. And the adoption has just been exponential. I think this is really important because with this adoption of content and with this new way of looking at this thing called the internet, user behavior started to change, right? People stopped going to libraries. They started looking for stuff on the internet. They stopped maybe asking questions and having to do as much work to find what they're looking for, going through stacks of shelves and books, and it was much faster to get this information. And they started expecting things much faster. As we watch the internet evolve, expectations of users continue to increase. And this was a 10-year period. Some other things that were introduced here that helped set the stage for both cloud and social is the invention of the API in the early 2000s. And cloud, that made cloud a reality, so that it wasn't just hosted on your computer at home, or I guess more likely in university at this time, but we could do it. And this is kind of what we're expecting now in today's age, is a modern looking website with lots of imagery and with lots of great user experience and design, things that are accessible. I'll go to the next slide. I can probably talk more about that. And in 2024, we've got 5.35 billion users on the internet with over 1 billion websites. And 54% of that traffic is coming through mobile, right? So we went from 45 million users and 300,000 pages to more content than anyone can imaginably think they can make it through, right? So we've bloated the websites, we've bloated the internet, and now search becomes even more important because they're trying to get you the right content at the right time to keep that experience good. So we'll go through some stats here. The last one was 90% of traffic comes through Google. 66% of web traffic or web referrals come through Google. So if you talk about all web traffic to websites, 66% of that is still run through Google. The SEO market cap size is $88 billion this year. And again, this is a market that Google created based on website, based on finding things. This is something that we all should be paying attention to. And the global e-commerce market cap really took off during COVID because we changed user expectations, again, not wanting to leave our houses. And this has increased exponentially over the last, say, 3 years to get to $6.3 trillion. So let's talk about all of that put together, right? The current state of websites, users expect more today than they did yesterday. And they're continue to expect more tomorrow. If I was building a website for someone right now, these are some of the things that we would need to make sure that website had. A good user experience, high level of quality and design, interactive experiences. I want more than just to go find my content. I need to be able to find what I'm looking for fast and easily. Search, chat, security, privacy, personalization is huge right now. These are kind of like the baseline for today. And what we're going to talk about next is where we're going tomorrow, right? So Gaurav's going to talk about how did we get here.
Yeah, so we all saw how internet evolved from 1990s to 2024, and with that, our internet speed also got increased. How many of you had dial-up connections in 90s? We all saw how difficult it was to just wait for hours and the web page to load. And then we moved into era of 2G, 3G, and now optical fiber, which like 1 GB per second is speed and whatnot, right? So as our needs evolved, internet speed got increased, and at the same time, evolution happened in technology. Earlier, when there were just read-only search engines, read-only content, right? Right now, AI is changing everything, and it's changing very fast. The evolution is having at an exponential state, and that's why we need AI, and we need to think about what we need to build for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we also got here because of saturation of market and competition, right? As more opportunities on the web emerged, more people were empowered with that technology to go and do things that were not accessible to them before. And today, I mean, we've got developers like me starting companies, and I'm sure a lot of you in the audience have also started your own companies or are working for companies or doing things that you would not have been able to do 15 years ago because the internet enabled that. And social is just taking that even further with influencers and people starting their own brands and not needing publishers to write books or publish music and things like that. The world is changing because technology is evolving, and with that, so does the competition continues to increase.
with that, now the number of websites have increased, number of pages has increased. So does the content. Now there is a lot of content available out there. And with all these AI tools coming into market, generating content, creating content, there is just so many content to consume. How do we get better at it? How do we produce high quality content? How do we keep up to the market? So that there are a lot of AI tools which can give you content, but how do we get productive content, right? So that's the need. When it was just read-only, content didn't matter much. It was just the information. Now there is a lot of information. How do we find meaningful information out of that? And that's what is taking us here.
And AI is accelerating that change, and that's the whole point of why we're here today and why we're having this talk. Because what happened in the last, say, 20 years has been continuing to get compressed with the pace of that evolution. And I think we're going to see more change in the next 5 years than we did in the last 15 combined. And AI is really spurring the pace at which this moves. And with this speed, right, like why? Technology is improving, and that's making access to tools easier. It's making it cheaper. And it's making your ability to do things faster, right? So you've got low code, you've got no code, you've got people spinning up websites that don't have to touch a line of code. E-commerce without touching a line of code is huge, right? So you've got all these individual people building websites and e-commerce platforms without having to actually hire a development team. And that is huge for being able to be nimble and compete with other people and other brands. And then it's also impacting user behavior, and I can't stress this enough on how much we need to pay attention to this, right? Like how many people in this room ask questions to ChatGPT instead of Google now? Like use that as a search engine, about half the room. This search to ask transition is happening. And with that behavior, like users are tired of like searching for things. So it's even more important that our websites are easy to use. They can find the information, they can find it fast. And we won't get into topics like AEO and how to optimize your content for AI too much, but those things are coming.
Yeah, on the same note, right, when I was first creating these slides, it took me roughly 6 hours to build all these slides, put imagery into that, and then I tried to do it with AI. All the images, everything, I was just able to do it in 1 hour. And that's the power of AI. We just need to start using it, and it makes things fast, valuable.
Right, so the websites of tomorrow, like what is this gonna look like next year? What's it gonna look like in 3 years? Grav's gonna walk us through what this is gonna look like.
Yeah, so with AI and the way we are building everything, the bar is always moving, and it's moving towards up. Right, it's not going to come down from 90s to 2000s to 2024. Right, the way our internet speed has increased, the way our technology has evolved, the way we build websites, the way we think about content in them, the way we think about our search engine optimization, it's going to get better, and the bar is going to go upwards and upwards. Right, so there is a quote from Elon Musk: we need to be careful with AI. It's capable of vastly more than almost anyone knows, and the rate of improvement is exponential. If we do not keep up with AI, we won't be relevant in the market. AI is probably we'll be behind in the market basically. So how AI is doing it? Let's see. So when I was creating the slides, I tried, okay, let me try to generate an image, and can AI does that? So this is the prompt I gave: generate an image of a futuristic car driving through an old mountain road surrounded by nature. It took it 3 seconds. And then I tried to play with it. I thought, okay, let's give it little bit more complex details, how we can use it. And it's just Gemini, right? I'm not even touching any LLMs or anything. It's free gemini.google.com doing it for me, generating the images which can be utilized in websites, marketing website content. Right? I just changed the text and said add an ocean in there, and this car should be driving in a mountain road. Let's look at the result now. So there is a futuristic car, there is a ocean behind it, and it's driving in the mountains. So the better our codes are, the better our prompts are, we are going to get a lot of relevant content, and we are going to get it very fast. Okay, let's look at this other thing. So I was thinking, should I write a blog about Drupal Start Shot? There is a Drupal CMS release party. So this is what I did. I gave the context of, okay, this is the Start Shot information that you can, and then I asked AI to generate a blog for me. What it does, it went through different links on internet, which has talked about Drupal starts or Drupal CMS, read through all of them and gave me a good context of it. Now I can use this initial draft from that blog, accommodate it to based on my needs, but the initial search, research, everything AI is doing it. So it's making things faster, right? But generating all the content from AI, is it worth it? Maybe not, maybe yes. It depends on how better is your prompt and what are you doing with the content. AI is also augmenting user experiences. So earlier, when we were going to e-commerce website, Amazon, other like eBay, right? Those were pretty much, okay, what you need, search for it and you'll get it. Now with help of AI, with help of personalization engine, as soon as you land these on the site, they know who you are, where you are coming from. They understand what you need, and that's how they are giving you recommendation, be it Instagram, be it ads, right? Based on all your history, based on what you are searching for, you are getting way more personalized recommendation. So e-commerce websites, platforms, their businesses also getting more attraction. At the same time, it's fulfilling the need of users. You are getting what you need. Okay, let's look at findability and customer support, how AI is helping our customers. So we have chatbots. We have now, like, the way we ask information, the way we get information. So earlier, if I had to get some information, I'll need to call customer care. I'll need to give them all the details. I'll need to say, okay, this is what I need. And they'll say, okay, it was all manual. I'll take few minutes to get back to you. And they may take an hour or two or something. But nowadays, with the help of chatbots, with the help of AI, you are getting answer very quickly, right? Be it general answer to, okay, how I deleted some files, how do I get them back? Give me the status of my booking, give me my PNR status, right? Or I want to travel to this place. So this is what I did before coming to Singapore. I asked Gemini again that, okay, I want an itinerary and I'm traveling with a toddler. What should be my itinerary to visit Singapore? Where should I go? And I got the answer. I didn't have to do any research. And this was just 2-minute thing. Okay, let's look at the code. How AI is helping us generating code and getting better at it. So one day, this is coming from GitHub Copilot. I asked it, okay, let's implement a Drupal hook which can move all of my JS into footer, and it just did that. It took it pretty much 1 second. Then let's try something else. I asked GitHub Copilot that, okay, let's implement another Drupal hook which will move my CSS files in footer. So it did both. It understood which hook to use. It understood what is footer, what code to use, and that's how I got my code. So AI is also making development very fast. It's just that we need to start using it. It's not only giving you the code, it's also fixing it. So if you look at this code, all of my JS in this code is in header. All I'm doing, asking GitHub Copilot, optimize this code for performance. And it looks at the code, changes it. And instead of putting all my JS in header, it's doing it in. These are very small examples, right? But the probabilities are huge. AI is changing everything, the way we think, the way we code, and it's making us better. Okay, now let's talk about code reviews, documentation, and everything. So how many of you have hated documenting your code? It's a very lame job, right? And we do not want to do that. But now there are a lot of AI agents that can do that. So this is a PR. We had in one of the project, we had Code Rabbit, and that Code Rabbit looked at all the changes in the PR, gave me a summary. It not only gave me a summary, it gave me a walkthrough, changes, and a sequence diagrams. So as a technical architect, right, when I'm looking at the code and when I'm getting all these information, it's very powerful for me to understand, okay, what are the changes, how it is going. And at the same time, it's also commenting on the PR saying, okay, this doesn't look good, go fix it. So the rate of change, developers doesn't have to wait on me. I'm not the blocker. They are getting the information, and our quality of the code is also improving. Okay, let's talk about Drupal AI ecosystem. How AI is playing role, how AI is helping Drupal, right? Yesterday in the Dries note, we saw we have a recipe for AI, which is helping. Like now you don't have to create, content types, fields, anything. Just give it a prompt that, okay, I need this field in this content type, and it will do that, right? So it's not only just that. There is a huge ecosystem of Drupal AI, core augmenter. We have search API coming in there. You can directly generate content from the AI, and then it's open as well. So if you want to build your own agent, right, there are basically services, there are basically APIs that we can consume and build whatever we want to, right?
Yeah, if you haven't checked this out, definitely talk to Jamie. So AI is going to drive change faster than ever before. And we show you some examples of what it's impacting today, right? And I think I want to just take a moment and let's talk about what it's not going to do as well. So let's go to the next slide. All right, I lied. We're going to talk about AI innovations will increase that rate of change again. So there's really 3 ways that we talked about earlier, and I'm going to talk about the same 3 ways. Rapid advancement of technology is going to continue to increase. You saw the code examples. We can do more faster now, and we can do it better than we did before. It's going to increase that saturation of markets and competitions because more people are going to be able to get into the market easier, and you're going to need to create more things to compete with those people, right? If I now have 100 companies writing about Drupal, it's going to be much harder to rank than if there were 2 companies, and Google needs to, and we'll use the Google example because that's relevant right now, needs to be able to tell you're an authority on that, and the only way of doing that is you creating more content and high quality content. So what can we do to keep up? And I think this is really what I want to talk about today. Artificial intelligence is not a replacement for humans, it's about amplifying human potential. I love this quote because it's kind of the way that I look at this. And I think the moral of the story for the next couple slides is going to be garbage in, garbage out, right? If you don't have enough understanding of what you're doing, if you don't know how to code, if you don't know that you need to put JavaScript and CSS in your footer, then you're never going to get that solution, right? So I think there's this contextual element of human interaction and understanding an application that isn't going to be replaced anytime soon, but we'll see. So AI doesn't make this magic. It will accelerate the pace of change. It will accelerate the competition, like we just talked about. It will decrease complexity of your solutions and augment your team, but it will not replace humans completely, and it's not a magic bullet, right? Like earlier this year, Google went through a big update where they unindexed any site that they said was generated by AI holistically. And that took down a lot of influencer businesses, right? And that made a huge impact on the economy. And I think as more of this happens, we'll continue to get better at it, and we'll continue to see change. But for now, I think it really requires that human interaction. And let's keep going.
Just to add to that, right? All the things that we saw, like generating an image or getting that code, it's us who are giving prompts to AI. So we will still need human. We'll just need to be better at it, and AI will make us more productive.
So what do we do for it, right? I think the first thing is invest in your people, right? You need to get your teams trained on how to use AI. You need to get your teams trained on your content and your ICP, and with AI, they can be that much more powerful. And if you don't do it for your teams and your company, someone else is going to. And I think I think people is going to be the most important things today. And I think if we look at where companies have tried to replace people completely with technology, we've seen a lot of failure. We've seen people getting sued because the chatbot sold their car for $1 and losing in court. We've seen a lot of missteps as people try to embrace this technology and really get people out of the equation. And I think there needs to be a balance here.
Yeah, and at the same time, right, for these small companies, for these startups like us, right, there is a cost element to it. We always think, okay, some of these tools do require a subscription. Should I buy it? It's costly. But if you look at the overall picture, if a developer is taking 20 hours to develop something and you just need to pay 1 hour of fees to this tool to get the subscription of this tool, it's worth it. So we should all look from that perspective as well, that it's not the direct subscription cost, it's the time, right? You are saving a lot of time of your team, of your people, and they are getting better.
So I wanted to throw some stats in here, and this is some new stuff for these slides for this presentation. But by 2030, McKinsey expects about 30% of the tasks we do today to be automated. And I don't see that being a bad thing. It means I can focus on more critical and more strategic things, as opposed to, things that aren't as important, or just I don't have tools to let me do faster. And I think this is something that we all need to talk about. We need to embrace. We need to figure out what that is. and where for each one of our businesses, of our teams, of ourselves, like where can I use AI to make things faster, and where does it make sense for me not to maybe use that? Because again, garbage in, garbage out is kind of what I see. I think the second thing to do is invest in your content. We brought up SEO a lot in this presentation, and the reason for that is because SEO has already set a foundation and a framework for identifying trust, because Google's whole business is users trusting it to provide them with a good experience and good content. And AI is using that same algorithm to identify trusted brands and weight the content that it's reviewing as a trusted source. And I think high quality content, well-structured content is important for that reason. And it's also important because the rate of change is going to be happening so much faster. And I'll talk about that more on the next slide, but sorry, 2 slides. But with this, pull up the analyst reports. Everyone on social is saying SEO is a dying industry. The analysts say that SEO market cap is going to continue to increase to the point where it's going to be 120 billion by 2030. And a lot of this because those same tools and techniques and processes are what is going to drive AI and AI engine optimization and chat bots and everything else that you want to use AI to help your customers and drive that experience. Use the same concepts that SEO does. So maybe it'll change a little bit, but that market will still be there. Investing in your CMS, I think, is also important. I think, the 2 to 3 year rebuild cycle is dead in my mind. Any organization that builds a website, doesn't do anything for 2 or 3 years, and then comes back to rebuild it, has already lost the game. I think we're going to be looking at ways to move websites forward faster, to iterate on what we have, and technology is allowing us to do that better now. We've got, decoupled websites that I can replace a piece of it. We've got CDN applications where I could spin up a whole separate application and splice those sites together if that is something that will move my business forward. And it doesn't require me to migrate and rebuild the 80% of content that's just static. It doesn't really need to be updated to get that 20% of value for my new product or my new market or whatever else I need to do for that, the new feature I'm launching. So, a good CMS and a good foundation of that content and that architecture is what's going to allow you to move that change forward faster. And obviously it's different for every brand, but yeah.
And it also doesn't mean that you have to change your CMS. We just have to start using it with respect to AI, putting AI into the center, right? It's not like we want to go to some other CMS just because that is more AI, right? We need to invest in the CMS, develop more AI agents. Dries talked about it in his keynote yesterday, right? We need a lot more AI agents to do the work.
We know a CMS that might be able to do that too. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this number I want to make sure isn't too misleading. 46 billion is the enterprise market cap size projected by 2030. This is about an 8% increase year over year from today to 2030. And this is purely the cost of the CMS itself. So Drupal probably isn't really included in this because this doesn't include services. I think the services track for CMS is on about the same progression of growth as the enterprise CMS market, but we can get a lot of insight in people are investing in their CMS and spending money on the technology itself at increasing rates because this is driving that change. And I think investing in your data is extremely important as we move into this AI world. I think we've seen more concerns about privacy coming up. We've seen more concerns about is this real? Can I trust this? And AI is making that so much worse because people can create content so much faster, and they can, I guess we're watching the news. Do we trust what we're hearing? Maybe. Depends on what channel we're watching and what our feelings about that are. And I think we need to think about the same thing for AI. And the only way that you can get to a place where you can meet those customer expectations as the world continues to evolve is by having data to inform that decision making. So again, garbage in, garbage out. If you have none of your data for what your users are doing, how they're interacting, because you're giving that all away to other people, then you won't be able to train the AI on it. You won't be able to train your chatbots. You won't be able to train anything on it, right? So investing in first-party data and owning that is a real game changer as we continue to move into this space. CDP market is expected to grow 2.7x. This is the best stat I could find for that data market. Again, it just speaks to people putting more time and effort into that first-party data and that customer data platform so that they can prepare to, one, meet privacy needs, but also to provide better user experiences, more personalized user experiences. All right, and lastly, invest in your brand experience. Got some stats up here, but ultimately, as more and more stuff gets out there and you don't know who to trust, people are going to go back to what they know. And I think the more you can build that relationship with your customer and build that trust and loyalty, the better you're going to be as an organization. And with more and more competitors coming in and more of these things going on the market, finding ways to provide a better brand experience that resonates with that user and talks directly to them is really what the game changer is going to be. And if you look at how just influencer brands and Instagram are changing how users are buying and what brands they think are important, this is how all these new brands are coming to market and really putting stable legacy brands kind of in a weird position. So that's it. Okay. This was a really interesting fact by Gartner. It said 1 in 3 businesses without a loyalty program today will establish one by 2027. And again, just reinforces the fact that we need to invest in our data and we need to invest in really what people care about and what they're doing.
Yeah, and loyalty is a very, very strong thing to drive users, right? Be it when we were coming to Singapore, John traveled from US, we traveled to India, right? We were looking for hotels and we were finding, okay, what is the best place to stay? And then it struck, we have a loyalty program with Marriott. Why not to go with them? So building that trust, because we have already been with Marriott, so we had a trust with them, right? If your customers, if your users have trust with your brands, with your websites, they are going to come back to that no matter what, right? And it just makes everything so easy. So building that trust with AI, and AI is going to be if we do not use it properly, if we let it just slip, it can make or break things, because there are just so many things in the world evolving, coming, content, there is just fake news, right? So we need to stay ahead of it. We need to make sure we are using AI rightly and developing that trust with our customers, giving them what they want.
Cool. That's it. Yeah. Thanks, guys. We'll open it for questions.
You spoke about a lot of content generation using AI. So I'm a pro AI, but one of the things that we have noticed with our customers is you showed an example of how content is generated, right? You showed that example. What about the transparency? Because that content is generated on the models that feeds on the content that is generated by the other human beings or agencies, right?
Yep.
And how important is it to define those standards and be transparent about your end users? So one of the examples was Zomato, a largest food ordering app in India. They recently removed all imagery that was generated by AI because the user said that it's a fake image of a food, and when they want to experience the food, they want a real looking food, right? So how important that is, and how do you ensure that happens as part of the CM?
Again, I think that's where people come in. I think it's extremely important, and it's going to be unique to each organization and what they're trying to do with it, right? And how they're using it. And with the right prompts and the right data to go in, you can get the right things out. So in that case, maybe it's providing better marketing text about what your food is and what ingredients it includes. And maybe you shouldn't use pictures of fake food in your marketing for that. So again, I don't think AI is going to be a tool to, again, replace anything. I think it's going to be a tool to augment that. So, ask the question, what should they have been doing when creating that content? It's not just doing it blindly, right? And I think that's a key learning from what people have been doing and trying to replace people with it, because they probably auto-generated hundreds and thousands of pages or items and didn't have anyone review it, right? And didn't think through that piece of it. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Absolutely. So I'm also part of the BIMA AI Council, and this was, so BIMA is a UK agency where a lot of creative people come, right? I mean, now music, videos, the content, everything is getting generated by the AI, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much, like anybody, like I'm not a musician, but I can go and use a tool to generate a music, right? I mean, and use anybody's voice. So there is this fear as well that, and I'm a pro AI, but then still at the same time, there's this fear that the originality, the transparency, the users who are consuming it, how much do they need to know? So you as a content editor, putting it on Drupal website, generating content, blog and images is one side. But as a user who's consuming this content, how important is it for them to know that I'm consuming the content that is generated by an AI?
It's a lot of controversy.
That changes the perception of the individuals about your brand as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy there, and like not being able to cite where this information came from. Again, how do you trust AI and how do you trust the response you're getting is a challenge that we're all going to be facing as we move forward. And I think there's already been a lot of lawsuits with Midjourney, probably, because they did all their training on.
Yeah, OpenAI as well, right? I mean, they're not trustworthy. A lot of people say they're not trustworthy because of the models that they're using.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where brand and trust also comes into the picture, right? Once you have built that trust, people will come to you for the information, for the validity of that information, right? People will not go to any other site or any other app which they do not trust. Same goes with Zomato, right? Like there are tons of restaurants out there, but you look at the rating, you look at the feedback, look at everything, and then you go to places where you trust. And if you fail your trust, your business would be.
I mean, even Google's doing it, right? They're looking at Reddit and Instagram and user-generated content reviews over what people are putting out. So that's another trend that we're seeing in the market continue to evolve, and something we should all be paying attention to as we're working on our applications and working for clients as well. Any other question?
Yeah, thank you for all the sharing. I can see you shared a lot of trend or the market attractions. And you also share how AI can make our developers' life easier. I'm just wondering whether, as DrupalCon, as a technical side, what kind of things we can leverage AI to provide innovation for the functionalities. For example, are we still is search still necessary? Can we using OpenAI to integrate the Drupal search and something like this? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think there's a lot of work being done in Drupal CMS to try to answer those questions and try to look at how do we move that. I think in the Dries note he showed some of what the tracks are doing and how we can use AI to improve that. The search track, I don't think integrated with OpenAI yet. I don't know if those two were connected or not. I don't remember. Okay, yeah, so like they were doing it? Okay. So like when you installed Drupal CMS, the AI portion like prompted you to enter your key for OpenAI to do that. And then it empowered that search to have the autocomplete functionality, right? So a lot of that is being worked on in the community, and those things are driving forward, and we're looking at more ways that we can get that even further. And some of my interests, again, are on the SEO track, right? How do I use AI to analyze my information, provide me better results on how I can improve it or how I can change it with that contextual information put together, and how do I make that available to my content editors? I'm not sure when that's going to come, but I think there's a whole lot of opportunity for us to use that in there. And then also giving the users the ability to choose what AI model they're going to use. So like maybe we don't want to send all our data to OpenAI. Maybe we want to set up our own LLM and things like that.
Okay, I have another question. I'm not a pro or anti-AI. I think we'll have to use it anyways. Like Drupal happened to all of us. CMS was not something we were interested in, like from our college days, but we started using it. So with AI, now the question is, there are multiple ways to look at AI where you could be going to tools which are paid tools, you could be investing in open source AI tools, or you could be building your own. Now, as an agency, I know I have to use AI. I'm sure that I will. I want to build good functionalities for my clients. I want good designs as well, functionalities as well. What tools do I use now? As an agency, what do you recommend? Should we invest in open source AI tools, try and spend more time in them, or use, like you mentioned, a lot of good tools which are paid products? What's your suggestion?
I think my answer is it depends. I think AI is going to open up whole new markets for governance and maturity. And I don't know if you've looked through privacy policies on AI tools, but that's the first thing I go to when I'm investing in. So just like I would go to a contributed module and look at how many people use it and kind of how is this code built and is it managed by the security team, I'd build my own checklist for those tools for AI as well, and make sure I'm doing my due diligence, right? And right now there's a new AI product coming out probably like every minute, feels like, and it's really hard to keep up with that. So I don't think I'd make any recommendations here like directly, but I think what I will say is that not embracing AI is probably going to put you out of business at some point here. Just like in the 90s and 2000s, if you didn't embrace the internet, your business probably did not go as well as those who did. I don't think it's going away. So.
I'll just add something to that as well. As Doyle said, it depends on the type of business you are in and type of the customer you are working with, right? For example, if you are working with Drupal contribution, we all know Drupal's code is pretty much public. Anybody can use it. It is very much easier to use any open source AI tool with projects like this because it's all in public. But at the same time, if you are working on an enterprise project, right, and those have some strict privacy policy, they do not want to publicize their code and whatnot, then we have to think about what tool to use, right? Yeah, from a developer's heart, I think using...
That's actually a dilemma for most of us as to when we're working with enterprise, and you spoke about it yourself, and in a session upon open telemetry as well, we talked about how data is very important as privacy for our enterprises. Do I really go for... The reason for going to open source AI is not really how soon or how much money we save, but largely because I could host the entire content myself. Yeah. And when you move to other products, you're probably getting out all your information out somewhere. That can be used by others. So I've seen this concern coming from privacy teams and enterprises saying that I'm not sure if we can use this AI tool.
And it's good that we're thinking about that now as opposed to 10 years down the road, right? Like we did with some of the other tools we started using in the 2000s on what are they doing with my data and how are they using that. So I think it just shows maturity in the market and some forward thinking. And Europe is also putting out laws to try to figure out how do we govern this and how do we drive it. And I think we'll continue to see that trend. And it's kind of the Wild West right now, but we got to navigate it. So, any other questions? No? All right. Well, you feel free to come find us anytime for the rest of the day or maybe tomorrow. I think we'll be some of us will be at the contribution sprint.
Asmita is also presenting a very good session on design tokens, how you can leverage design tokens to build front-end faster. That would be happening in the same room at 1. Yep. So if you are interested, do attend that.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.